You wake up in a world where every problem has been solved. Hunger is a relic of the past. Shelter, warmth, and entertainment are available at the push of a button. No wars rage outside your window. No real dangers lurk in the shadows. Everything you could possibly need has been designed for your comfort, for your ease, for your uninterrupted pleasure. And yet, something is wrong. Despite this utopia of convenience, you feel an inexplicable emptiness creeping in, a quiet but persistent whisper that something is missing. Your days blur together in a haze of effortless consumption. There are no great struggles, no mountains to climb, no real stakes to fight for. And in the absence of hardship, meaning begins to wither. You scroll through your perfectly curated feed, bombarded with images of people who seem happier than you. They smile in exotic locations, post motivational quotes about living your best life, yet somehow their eyes betray the same emptiness you feel. A gnawing sense of dissatisfaction grows, but you can't quite name it. How can you be unhappy when everything is designed for your convenience? How can you feel lost when you have everything? This is the great paradox of modern comfort. The easier life becomes, the less fulfilling it feels. But why? Why is it that in the most comfortable era in human history, we are plagued by record levels of depression, anxiety, and existential dread? If suffering was the enemy, shouldn't its absence bring us peace? Or was suffering never the enemy to begin with? Let's go deeper. Comfort was supposed to be our salvation. The great dream of human progress was to eliminate struggle to make life easier, safer, more predictable. And in many ways, we succeeded. We no longer hunt for food or fight for survival. Our ancestors braved the wilderness, but we brave nothing more than our notifications. So why do we feel more lost than ever? The answer lies in a fundamental truth that modern society has tried to erase. Struggle gives life meaning. Without resistance, there is no growth. Without obstacles, there is no purpose. Friedrich Nietzsche understood this deeply when he wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." But in a world where every how has been made effortless, the why has become dangerously unclear. We were never designed for this level of ease. Our brains evolved in harsh conditions, sculpted by hardship and survival. Dopamine, the chemical that fuels motivation, was meant to reward effort, not passive consumption. But today, with infinite distractions at our fingertips, we get the reward without the effort. We binge watch, we scroll, we order food with a tapand, yet each fleeting hit of pleasure only deepens the void. Arthur Schopenhauer warned us about this cycle. He described human existence as swinging between two extremes, suffering and boredom. When we suffer, we crave relief. But once comfort is achieved, boredom sets in. And boredom, left unchecked, becomes a form of suffering in itself. This is the hidden problem of modern comfort. It deprives us of the friction we need to feel truly alive. We have been given everything except the one thing we actually need, a sense of challenge, of purpose, of earned fulfillment. But here's the most insidious part. We're not just passively trapped in this system. We are conditioned to believe that happiness comes from more comfort, more convenience, more consumption. Society does not tell us to embrace struggle, it tells us to avoid it at all costs. Every advertisement whispers the same lie. Buy this, and you will be satisfied. But satisfaction never comes. Only the endless hunger for the next purchase, the next distraction, the next fix. And so we remain in a paradox, drowning in abundance, yet starving for meaning. But the consequences of this are far greater than we realize. Because the more we chase comfort, the weaker we become. And when real hardship finally arrives, because it always does, we are left completely unprepared. Let's take a look at what this means for us, both as individuals and as a society. The consequences of this paradox are not just emotional, they are existential. We are not merely uncomfortable in our comfort, we are being eroded by it. Look around. We live in an era of unprecedented luxury, yet we are more anxious than ever. Depression rates are soaring. Addiction, whether to substances, screens, or social validation, has become the silent epidemic of the modern world. We were promised ease, but instead, we are restless. We were promised happiness, but instead, we are numb. But why? It is because comfort, unchecked, breeds weakness. Carl Jung wrote extensively about the shadow self, the parts of us that contain our suppressed strength, our untapped resilience. When we avoid struggle, we also avoid the growth that comes from facing it. We become fragile. The smallest inconvenience feels unbearable. We panic at uncertainty, break down at rejection, and retreat at the first sign of difficulty. We are not suffering less, we have simply become less capable of enduring suffering. And here is where the real danger lies. The more fragile we become, the more susceptible we are to control. A society that is constantly entertained is a society that does not question. A population that is addicted to comfort will never risk losing it. The greatest empires in history were not brought down by war alone, but by decadence, by citizens who had grown too soft, too complacent, too detached from struggle to defend themselves. Aldous Huxley warned us of this in Brave New World, that the most effective form of control is not oppression, but pleasure, a world where people are too pacified to realize they have lost their freedom. And so, we remain trapped in a cycle. Comfort weakens us. Weakness makes us dependent. Dependence makes us controllable. But there is one final, more personal consequence, one that hits even deeper. When you eliminate struggle from your life, you do not just lose meaning, you lose yourself. Think of the moments that shaped you, the times that tested you, that forced you to fight, to adapt, to rise. Were they easy or were they painful? Now imagine if those struggles had never happened. Who would you be? Would you be stronger or weaker? Would you be wiser or emptier? Would you even recognize yourself? This is the cost of comfort. Not just the loss of meaning, not just the loss of resilience, but the loss of the person you could have become. But there is a way out. There is a way to reclaim what we have lost. And it begins with rebellion. If comfort is the trap, then rebellion is the only way out. But this is not the kind of rebellion that demands protest signs or political movements. This is a far deeper, more personal kind of defiancion that begins in the mind. It starts with a simple but radical act: choosing struggle. Not the passive suffering of boredom or emptiness, but the kind of struggle that forges strength, the kind that makes you wake up with fire in your chest, the kind that reminds you what it means to be alive. For centuries, the great minds of philosophy and psychology have pointed toward the same truth. Meaning is not found in comfort, it is found in challenge. Nietzsche called it becoming who you are. Viktor Frankl, who survived the horrors of Auschwitz, wrote that the secret to enduring suffering was not to avoid it, but to give it meaning, to find purpose even in pain. The Stoics trained themselves to embrace hardship, knowing that a life without difficulty is a life without depth. So what does this mean for you? It means you must seek resistance. It means you must train yourself to do the things you once avoided. It means you must choose discomfort as a path, not a punishment. Take control of your dopamine. Stop numbing yourself with endless distractions. Make pleasure something that is earned, not something that is mindlessly consumed. If everything is given freely, nothing is truly valuable. Rebuild your resilience. Do hard things not because you have to, but because they make you stronger. Challenge yourself physically, mentally, emotionally. Read the difficult book. Sit alone with your thoughts instead of drowning them in noise. Face rejection. Take risks. Do what is uncomfortable, because that is where transformation happens. Detach from the illusion of modern pleasure. Understand that comfort is not happiness, it is sedation. The world is designed to keep you passive, to keep you docile, to keep you content but unfulfilled. The moment you recognize this, you have already begun to break free. But breaking free is not enough, because the ultimate rebellion is not just escape, it is creation. And that is the final step. Because once you free yourself from the grip of comfort, you must decide. What kind of life will you build instead? There comes a moment in every journey where everything becomes clear. When you look back and realize that the struggles you once feared were never your enemy. They were your greatest gift. This is the moment when you understand the ultimate truth. A meaningful life is not found. It is forged. You were never meant to be passive. You were never meant to drift through life, sedated by comfort, numbed by distraction. You were meant to struggle, to strive, to fight, not in the senseless, chaotic way that modern life often forces upon us, but in the deliberate, meaningful way that transforms a person from weak to strong, from lost to found. The paradox of modern comfort is that it strips away the very thing that makes life worth living. But here's the secret. The moment you stop chasing comfort and start choosing challenge, you break free from the illusion. You reclaim the fire that comfort tried to extinguish. And something extraordinary happens. You stop fearing hardship. You stop craving ease. You realize that everything you need, the strength, the purpose, the meaning, has been inside you all along, waiting to be awakened. The world will not tell you this. It will keep offering you distractions, conveniences, easy escapes. It will keep whispering the same lie. Stay comfortable. Stay safe. Stay small. But you know better now. So the question is no longer, how do I avoid struggle? The real question is, what will I struggle for? Because in the end, it is not comfort that defines you. It is not ease or pleasure or convenience. It is the battles you choose, the mountains you climb, the pain you embrace for something greater than yourself. That is where your true life begins. And the choice now and always is yours.